This is an up level on a movement I've showed you in the past called 3D pelvic tilts and the hip bridge, because it's really a good neurological conditioner. It grows your neural network and helps your neural network become more robust. We're going to start off with a quick toning up of tucking the hips and arching the hips. You can go ahead and use your feet, tucking the hips and arching your hips. So we're rocking the pelvis in the forward and back direction. Let's do about 3 there. And now we're going to go laterally with the pelvis. That's a tail wag, right hip to right ear, left hip to left ear. And then the third direction is one hip up, other hip up, rotating the pelvis. Now in each of these movements, my pelvis is still staying down on the ground. That's a portion of the 3D pelvic tilt exercise. I'm going to take each of those directions and combine them now in one movement. This is called the bicycle. It's a pelvic bicycle. Place your hands on your hip bones. Your feet are comfortably narrow or wide, whatever feels comfortable. What we're going to do is we're going to imagine the pelvis is a bicycle, and we're going to take one hip up and then the other hip up. Take the right hip, put your awareness on your right hip. Imagine a circle, that the hip is going to go in a circle. Now that other hip is going in the opposite circle. So we're going in a circle with the hips. This can be very difficult neurologically at first, and most people describe it like it's making their brain work hard. They feel smoke coming out of their ears. So I'm taking one hip up as the other hip goes down, forward and down. The other hip is going up and around the hump. Feel the circle. Put your awareness on your right hip and notice the circle. Are there any places in that circle that you feel like you can't connect with, that you miss, that you lose, that are jagged, that are tight? Change directions. Keep your awareness on that right hip to see if you get that full circle. Now put your awareness on the left hip. Go forward with the pelvis and feel, notice, imagine, visualize what that left hip is doing. Is it going through the full circle, or are there quadrants of the circle that you're missing, that you can't find, that are hard to connect with, that you can't feel, that are jagged, that feel more square than round? Change directions. So I like to go about 5 reps in one direction and 5 reps in the other direction. And if there's a quadrant of the circle that I can't do very well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward and back through that quadrant. So I'm going to repeat that and try and dig that neurological groove at that part of the circle. So both sides might have their own part. So you can go ahead and sort of go forward and then in reverse around that little portion of the circle to really groove that in neurologically, and also to stretch and to strengthen the parts. It's better to go slower. People have a tendency to go fast when their neurological system is missing little tracks, and they try and go fast and it's jagged. If anything, I'd rather you go slower to give your brain a chance to catch up with the messages and the commands and the directives you're giving it. Here's another version of that. It changes the emphasis a little bit. You're going to take your hips about 1 inch off the ground. So I've got space under my buns, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in the bicycle circle, following one side with my mind's awareness. This builds a lot of connection between the command center of the brain and the parts. And this uses a lot of parts. Change directions. I particularly have a little sticky part on my left hip, so I can feel it. It's hard for me to get through that area. I can feel how I'm dominating with my dominant leg, my right leg. You might notice the same thing. So give your focus and your attention to your other side. Also, what some people find is going forward is easier than going backwards, or vice versa. So you might find that one direction is easier. So start with the easier direction, get some success with that, condition your neurological system with that, and then try the other direction. So we're laying groundwork. We're always working progressively, laying down success and then riding on that success, going a little farther each time. You are awesome.